What does double action mean? What does single action mean? What does double action only mean? Okay, I'm going to quickly explain what all these terms mean. Basically, an action is what happens when you press the trigger. So there are two potential actions when you press the trigger. One is cocking the hammer, and two is releasing the hammer and firing the gun. So if a trigger cocks the hammer and releases the hammer in one trigger press, that is called double action. If you were to manually cock this hammer with your thumb, now when you press the trigger, it does a single action, which is drop the hammer. That was a single action press. So this revolver can do double action or single action. This revolver has a hammer, but you can't see it. It's a shrouded or concealed hammer. That's so it doesn't get hung up on clothing when you're using it for a concealed carry. This is what's called a double action only gun or trigger press. You cannot manually cock the hammer, so the only way to get the hammer to go back is to press the trigger. So every time you press this trigger, it's cocking the hammer and then releasing the hammer. So this is the double action only. Then we have a lot of semi-automatic pistols. This is a 1911. This is actually called a single action pistol. This trigger only does one thing, and that is it's a single action. The only thing this trigger ever does is drop the hammer. The only way to cock the hammer is manually or by wrapping the slide, cocks the hammer. And of course, if there were ammunition in here, every time I fire it, the slide racks itself and cocks the hammer. So when you're firing, each shot will cock the hammer for the next shot. And still the trigger only does one thing, and that's release the hammer. So this is called a single action pistol. This is an Astra Constable. It's an older gun, but there are a lot of newer guns that are similar to this one. This is called a double action / single action pistol. So what that means, when the hammer is down and the safety is off, when you press the trigger, this pistol will cock the hammer and then release it. Now that's a double action pull. Now if this had ammo in it, when I pulled the trigger all the way back, it would fire, which would cycle the slide backwards, which would automatically cock the hammer again. So my next shot is going to be single action. And every shot after that, as long as I still have ammo, will be single action. This is what's called a striker fired gun. A lot of modern guns are striker fired. That means there isn't a hammer. There is a striker inside, which is basically a firing pin that is pushed back or cocked and held back until the trigger is pressed. When the trigger is pressed, a spring forces that forward to fire your ammo. These can also be single action or double action. This particular gun is a single action pistol, which means this trigger can never cock the gun. The only way to do the first action, which is cocking the striker on this kind of a gun, is by racking the slide. Now it is cocked, and now the trigger will release the striker and fire the weapon. So this is a single action only type of a pistol. Okay, so I hope I've cleared up some of your basic questions on what is double action and what is single action. And if you like this video, please hit the like button below and please subscribe. Thanks for watching.